edition of Metal Voice, and here we are today, very proud to present to you the new Nightwish album.
Nightwish.
Endless Forms,
yes.
Most Beautiful.
Ah. So what do you think, Alan, right off the bat?
Endless
Boom, boom.
Forms, Most Beautiful.
Taken from Charles Darwin's book, Origin of the Species.
Maybe
so there's a theme going throughout this.
They should have had a big monkey on the cover, maybe.
There's a theme throughout this album, a very loose concept.
Oh, okay.
It's all about the beauty of life, the beauty of nature, the beauty of science, the beauty
Staring
of
up
everything.
at the stars.
That's right. And
enjoying yourself out in the field, looking at the vast expanse of the universe.
Yeah. Looking for that Nightwish.
So here we go, Jim.
Here we go, Alan.
I tuned in, we'll get to a few songs, but you want to do the summary or do the songs first? You decide.
I don't care. Summary, go, boom, boom.
All right, here we go, Jim. Let's get right into it. You got the first song, Shudder Before the Beautiful.
Yes.
Great song. Yeah. Classic Nightwish.
Yes, it is.
Starts off orchestral.
Yeah.
You know, then, the guitars come in, crunchy guitars, and backing vocals. Classic. Yeah, you got Weak Fantasy. Same thing. Chants. Chorus comes, you got a guy in the background chanting, you know? They get the first single, Élan.
Yes.
Élan. But you know, I heard little traces of Leaves' Eyes in there, you know?
Or the other way around.
The other way around, yeah.
You know, Alan, the first three songs, right there, right off the bat, they're like hit singles. Right, each of them are their own hit singles. Go on. Continue, please.
Yours is An Empty Hope. I think that is the heaviest song on the album.
And it's a great song.
And, but, you know, it follows the same kind of formula as the first two. You know, it starts off orchestral, and then the crunchy guitars.
Yeah.
And we got Our Decades in the Sun. That's my second favorite song on the album.
Yeah, great tune.
I wouldn't say it's a ballad, but it's a much more softer, more kind of consistent, less crunchy guitars.
Yes.
My Walden, which is my favorite song on the album. It's a Celtic influence.
Yeah.
You got a lot of whistles in there, a lot of flutes, and the beat is a pure Celtic-driven beat.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of my strongest ones. And then Endless Forms, Most Beautiful.
Yeah,
again,
it's a great song. I loved it.
Orchestral.
Yeah.
Driving guitars. You know, and even, you know, going back to the Shudder before, then we got, you know, Edema Ruh, which is I call that the most celestial.
Celestial.
Not ethereal.
Yes.
You know, a lot of songs, they listen to Leaves' Eyes and her voice is ethereal, or Ataria.
I like that.
Ataria was up there, operatic. No, it's not. It's more celestial.
I like celestial. I like that.
And then your favorite song?
Which was my favorite song?
Alpenglow.
Yours is An Empty. Oh, Alpenglow. Yes, terrific track. I just found it was a little more different from the rest of the tracks in the album. But bottom line is, then you head into the last track of the album.
Well, you got Eyes of Sharbat, Gula, which is an instrumental.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you got, what a way to, second to the last song there, you got the Greatest Show on Earth, over 20 minutes. It's over 20 minutes, it takes first 5 minutes kind of atmospheric.
Then somebody's talking.
Somebody talks and tells about the story, like that's how it starts and that's how it ends.
Yeah.
The album, so like you said, it's a bit of a concept album.
For me, that was the biggest disappointment on the album, was the 20-minute song.
Really?
I just found like, you know what it is? It's like Yanni meets The Hobbits meets Nightwish, right? Okay. You know, it's basically, you know, I feel like I was, you know, somewhere in Middle Earth, and you know, Gandalf. I guess what it was, it's you know what? Don't get me wrong. It's a good song. It's just very atmospheric. Something you want to hear when you want to relax, perhaps do some yoga. You know, it's just not what I would expect, and but that doesn't mean it's bad. How's that?
And then, you know, Jim, I think we get into the crust of it right now. I mean, I tuned into Nightwish a bit later. Imaginarium was the first one that I really listened through and got into. Yeah. A fantastic album. Again, if we were to go back to that year that it was released and review our top 10 list, I would have added that in, which led me back to Dark Passion Play. So the Tarja years, some of her voice, operatic in that, I struggled with. But let's face it, these are the progenitors. I mean, they took heavy music and they got somebody with an operatic voice. There's tons of bands that try to copy them. Nightwish is the original. They do it the best,
that's right.
Bar none. We are convinced of this.
Yeah.
Okay, but saying that, now, you know, I think Annette Olson brought her own kind of distinctiveness. She had a distinct voice, her take on it, the way she sang, and she had a good voice too. And then Floor Jansen came in when either Annette left or got the soap opera, she got thrown out or left or whatever that soap opera was. But Floor Jansen came in, did a fantastic job, literally learning a whole set list within, you know, 24 hours kind of thing. I like Floor Jansen, her look. She did a good job on the live album. This is her first studio album, and I was hoping that she would step out front a little bit more. I don't want to use the term safe, but
yeah.
Since these guys are the originators, I mean, you know, now we got a vocalist on this album that is not allowed to differentiate herself or put her own kind of take on it, compared to the thousands of bands that are trying to copy Nightwish. Yeah. So for me, on that aspect, I found it a little disappointing.
It felt like she held back. That's what she's capable of more, and it feels like she's holding back
it kind of
a bit.
You know, yeah. And also, you know, I talked to some Nightwish fans, and I agree with them. I was leaning upon first listen. I thought this was closer to Dark Passion Play, but a lot of the songs would have, the first 2 or 3 songs could have came off of Imaginarium. Some of them, I think, you know, some of them were said if Dark Passion Play and Imaginarium had a baby, it would be this album. Yeah. And also, the other comment I got from that was listening through it, they're like, okay, they're playing it a bit safe. I don't want to say the word formulaic. It's safe. They're not taking a risk on this album. I don't know the reason for that. A lot of, like we said, a lot of the songs started off orchestral. You like to use the word atmospheric.
Atmospheric and smooth. I think Floor just came with more of a smoother voice, less bumps, less highs, less lows. Just a very smooth voice on this album.
And she can sing. Well, don't get us wrong.
Of course she can
like
sing.
Floor Jansen. Hats off to her for everything she's done with this band, because it was not an easy start to jump in.
Actually, I wasn't as critical about the vocals as you were. I kind of liked the vocals.
You're the guitars.
To me, it was more. The only disappointment for me was the last track on the album, but I loved all the other tracks on the album. Don't get me wrong, right? So I really like this album. To me, it was more the guitars. I found they were very generic. It's like da da da. Okay, I mean, I've heard it before. Yeah. It was more, the earlier stuff is more complex, it's more progressive, you know, and operatic, where this was less operatic and more, I wouldn't say generic, it's not the right word, I would just say more smooth. Smooth is the word today, smoothie.
But, you know, again, you look at, it sounds like they got an orchestra on every song playing with them.
Yeah.
So the whole arrangement, the way the songs are set up, they're fantastic. It's just, you see the pattern.
Yeah.
You know, start off a little slow, crunchy guitars, go down in the chorus and bring in a little bit more orchestra sound.
And
then, you know, power chords come back in. So, and again, there's variation on this album, but I think it was very well said when I asked the Nightwish fan what she thought of this album, and she said they're not taking any risks. And I think that's so. If this is your first Nightwish album that you listen to, Jim, what would be your reaction?
If it was my first Nightwish album I listened to, I would say, wow, this is like high 8s out of 10. Like 8.5 out of 10, 8.7 out of 10. But if it was, if I've known Nightwish for many, many years, and I followed them throughout their career, and I looked at their first album and their other albums, and I compared that to this album, to the 8 out of 10.
Yeah, and that's where I leave it too. For this album, I'm rating it 8 out of 10, so that's a middle voice.
That's right. There you have it. Nightwish.
Endless Forms. Most beautiful here on The Metal Boys.